system. All right, awesome. So welcome to a brand new interview. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I have a very special guest with me. She's a great friend of mine. We've met on multiple occasions, but thanks to the current situation, it's been very limited to just online now. So I really appreciate her for being on here. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only. She showcases her passion with professional juggling, and she is a famous YouTuber. So she's not as I'm right here. This is her. So, ladies and gentlemen, Taylor Glenn, aka TaylorTries. How are you?
I'm doing well. I don't know about famous YouTuber, but I'm definitely trying. But I'm doing well.
I'm glad to hear. So before we get into everything, I'm going to hit you with a fireball or a spitball question really quick. This is just out of the blue here. Will Lip Sync Fridays ever return?
You are the only person that ever asks me this, and I appreciate it because it is something I want to do, and I do really like it. It just fell off. I mean, I haven't done it in like a year and a half. But yeah, I think especially now with TikTok, it's just screaming to happen. But for some reason, with Instagram, it was always really hard because I can't play music on my phone and record. So I just couldn't do them unless I was around a speaker. So now that TikTok's a thing, I can probably make that happen again.
Yes. I mean, definitely. Hopefully it's just not me. There's a lot of people that enjoy that, because you do have a huge Instagram presence. Speaking about your Instagram, talk to us more about what got you into putting your passion on Instagram and all social medias.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's been a while now. A few years ago, time flies. A few years ago, I was feeling really depressed and just having a hard time doing anything and feeling motivated to just get up out of bed, let alone make something. But also feeling very down on myself about that, like feeling like I was, worthless, I guess, because I wasn't able to get anything done because I was so depressed and just struggling with what is the point and what is, why am I here type of thing. And so being somebody who learns a lot of things and tries a lot of things my whole life, I know that like you can't get better at anything without at least doing something. There has to be some sort of action. And so I didn't know how to like fix depression, and I don't think you probably can. It's a very deep, complicated problem. But for me, I knew that I had to do something. And so I came up with the idea of, well, if I can get up and just do something really small, like post a video on Instagram, then I can, A, it will get me out of bed, and then B, it'll make me feel better because I can say, at least I did this thing. So I started doing that, and I made a goal of just posting something on Instagram every day. It usually was a video. And because I studied film and everything, like video stuff is pretty easy for me. The hardest part is coming up with something to film. But yeah, I did that, and did that for almost 2 years. And it really helped, honestly. It was like, for those reasons, getting out of bed helped, doing something helped, being able to look at my progression of like learning tricks helped. And then the followers grew also, which isn't what helped in and of itself, but it does always help to know that other people like what you're doing and are responding well to your passions. So, and here we are.
All this time later. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's something that I really enjoy watching your videos of, kind of the different, not only just the different variations of patterns that you do with juggling, but also just kind of making a passion like juggling relatable to those who are not familiar, or those who are not they've heard of it but they don't really know the deep details into it. So that's something that I really appreciate. So
thanks.
Yeah, well, that's just me. So speaking about your passion for juggling, and you mentioned as well, like ever since you were little you love to try new things. What was the motivation or inspiration of actually trying these new things? Was it more something of someone that you knew, or was it just something you saw on TV? What was the inspiration towards that?
First, like juggling specifically, or
Well, because you mentioned just you wanted to try things, so just trying things in general.
throughout my life. I honestly, I'm not sure where it comes from. If you ask my mom, it's something I've been doing my whole life. Like I've just been that kid that always, I think I was a little hyperactive and couldn't sit still. And so I needed things to keep me busy. And it just always manifested as I want to learn this sport. I want to try this thing. I want to do this craft. I want to get my hands in everything possible. And it's stuck with me. I mean, I don't know if as I've gotten older, maybe it's like a fear of mortality or something, but I just want to try and experience all the things I can. And honestly, my favorite thing to do is just like learn a new skill and just see how it's really nice when you start something new. You learn pretty quickly. People don't think they do, but they do. Like there's a plateau effect, right? At a certain point, you start getting slower in your progress because you're getting harder in what you're doing.
Right.
And I love that dopamine hit that happens from like 0 to 100 hours of something where you're just like, I'm learning things. I went from not being able to play the guitar to being able to make a song, and that feels great. So I just love that feeling, and that's probably why I do it.
Yeah, I could actually relate to that because at the beginning of this year, I was not familiar with juggling as much as I am now, and especially with the first time that I was actually quote unquote trained to juggle. The good old quote of the Karate Kid and being the Mr. Miyagi that you are, trying to teach Danielson how to do a simple pattern, 3-ball pattern, or even just trying to do something as Miles Mess or the Boston Mess or whatever the case may be. I mean, it's fun learning more than it is and experiencing and getting that progression, because I'm kind of the type of guy that's like, okay, I'm learning, but I feel like I'm failing.
That is learning. Like that's the thing that I think jugglers get more than a lot of people that I meet. It's like you have to be okay with that failure. That is juggling. Like I always say that. Like juggling is not throwing and catching things. It's throwing and dropping things. You're going to drop. And if you don't like that or you don't learn to like that, then you're not going to be a juggler. You're going to give up. And that's fine. You can find something else. But I find that anyone who is learning a skill, like you have to be okay with just messing up over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
But you also don't realize, a lot of people don't realize that every time you mess up, you are making progress. Like it's not obvious unless you learn a lot of things and you can recognize those things. But with juggling, it's simple as like, I got one more catch. And people just like gloss right over that accomplishment. And I'm like, 5 catches is so much better than 4 catches. And you did it. Why aren't you excited? But we've been trained to like be down on ourselves because it's failure, because I still messed up, and it's sad.
I mean, there's a lot of people that view failure differently. You know what I mean? Failure is more, in my opinion, it's more of a second chance of trying to get it the second time or the third time or the fourth time or the fifth time. Or if you're like me in my driver's test, the 7th time, whatever the case may be. The point is it's another opportunity for you to get closer to achieving your goal. And that's what I love about juggling too, is that no matter how many times I got hit in the face with the with the sandbag, I definitely try my best to keep going and keep trying to learn that one trick or keep doing that one pattern over and over again. So that's
one more catch, failure is only permanent if you stop. Like,
yeah. So now going on to kind of the history behind your love for juggling. When did that start, and was there anybody in particular that inspired you to keep juggling?
Yeah, that's a great way to phrase this question. I get asked a lot, like, when did you learn how to juggle? And it's always the same response, but this is a good one. I learned how to juggle when I was 12-ish, I think. It wasn't a big moment in my life because I didn't think I would be a juggler. So it was just kind of like, cool, I learned it. I taught myself when I was playing baseball. I was just bored. Again, I like to keep my hands busy. So while some person was batting and failing and taking forever, I was like, I'm going to juggle. So I learned how to juggle. And that came and went. And I was like, cool, I did that. Moving on to the next fun thing. But then when I was, I think a few years later, like 14, maybe turning 15, in that awkward teen phase, which I was a very awkward kid. I was really into spinning tops, which a lot of people might not know. I have some somewhere, but they're those like wooden, now they're made of plastic, but they used to be made of wood, and you throw them with a string and they spin. It's not the ones that you flick like this. It's a very old, cool toy. And I got really into those for a while just because it was so satisfying. And then my friend who was good at that, his father's friend was a yo-yoer. And again, all these skills are connected, right? They're all kind of nerdy skill toys. So if you do spinning tops, you're probably going to learn yo-yo. So he was trying to get me into yo-yo, and I was just like, I just couldn't do it. And at one point, that same guy, his name was Dale Meyerberg, he was a jack of all trades. He knew all the things. He decided to do a little juggling show for us one day because he was a professional yo-yoer. That was his job. And I guess he juggled in his show. And so he did Mill's Mess, and it blew my mind because I was like, you can do things with juggling, not just regular juggling? And he was like, yeah, there's like tricks and stuff. And I don't recall if he taught me some tricks. I'm sure he maybe showed me a few. But then after that, I went home and I was just obsessed with, the internet was a thing, but YouTube wasn't. So I had to look at like web pages that had little MP4 files like embedded in them and just watch them. And what is that trick? What is happening? And that, that was great. I ended up going to a juggling club in Salt Lake where I grew up, and they really like encouraged me and helped me get better. And I quickly became like the second best in the club at 15, just because they were all kind of older dudes who just weren't really into like practicing. But that was really motivating, having a whole group of people just like encouraging you, which I think is really important, which is why I try to do it for people online. And then I went to my first juggling festival when I was 17. And from there on, I was like, I'm definitely doing this for a long time. Even though I've quit and come back to it a few times, like there was a good like 3 or 4 year stretch where I didn't juggle at all.
That's awesome. And, when you're talking about that, about the juggling festivals too, of course, you've traveled all around the world as well. You've traveled to so many IJA, I'm so sorry, I cannot pronounce that right, festivals as well. And can you also talk about your experience about traveling and getting to meet all these different jugglers or just everyday people that are like, wow, like what you do is freaking awesome?
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people, especially when they get into a hobby online, they don't recognize that there's a really important aspect of it, which is community. And community, I think, can be the difference between somebody who gets into something for a month versus, or even a year, versus somebody who does it their whole life. If you find a community that encourages you and keeps it fresh and exciting and teaches you, then you're going to keep doing it. And for me, that was definitely the case. The IJA, which is the International Jugglers Association, they have a big festival convention every year. And I went to that for years in a row, and then I stopped juggling. But then the last 4 years, I got back into it. And now that allowed me to travel all around the US because it's a US convention. But then they also have competitions around the world. And so with them, I've been able to travel to places like Mexico, Guatemala, England. We went to Afghanistan last year. We went, I feel like there was one more. I don't remember. But I've gone a lot of places around the world for juggling. And it's been great because it just shows you that, like, from being a teenager supported by this community in my, city in Utah, to going to Mexico and being supported by that same community, but also different in Mexico City. It's like, I don't know. There's something beautiful about the juggling community, as I'm sure there are with most, smaller communities. It's very supportive, and people just want to see you do better, and they want to teach you things and share things with you. A lot of jugglers are kind of nerds sometimes, or like maybe not the most popular kids. And so there's something that's bonding about that. And even around the world, like it means something different everywhere I've gone. It's not, in America, it is like kind of the nerdy kids, but in England, it's not, it's more cool kids. But either way, it's like a bond because we all really love this weird little hobby. And it's just an instant thing that you can connect with somebody about. And I've been invited to like France and stay with me in France, you know, we're friends now. And it's like, I would never have that opportunity if I didn't know that person through juggling. And it's just great. I think community is the most important thing with a skill. Well, the second most after you loving it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, speaking about community, it's so great with the juggling community because it's everyday people that are within that, you know, within your grasp. Because like you could search up, I believe you said on one video as well that you could even search up juggling communities within your city, and you could just find thousands, hundreds of just juggling communities within your vicinity. And that's what I think is awesome, is because not only these are just people that love juggling, but it's also, you know, hey, like you're a sports fan, like that's awesome, you know what I mean? And I do want to take a highlight that you did with when you did go to, I believe it was Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, and you met up with a person that I believe was a sports commentator or something along those lines, sports broadcaster. Yeah. So can you talk about that? Because of course I love sports. I just want to know that.
Yeah, I met him really briefly, and I'm not good at names, and I don't remember his name, but he is a professional MLB commentator, which is awesome. You know, I love baseball. I don't again know all the names of the commentators, but yeah, I mean this was an event that I got invited to because I'm a juggler. It was not all jugglers there, but I was invited because of this weird skill that I have, and yeah, it's great that by following something that I'm passionate about and love, it allowed me to be in a situation where I got to meet somebody else who's really passionate about their thing and their hobby, and in this case, their career. And you know, meeting, it's just like you. Like when I met you, I was like, it makes sense that you are this type of, like, this is what you want to do, because you seem very comfortable speaking and you have the voice for it. And it was the same when I met him. I was just like, this makes sense.
I do appreciate that. I mean, for me, I always think that when you're passionate about something, you're never embarrassed about it. You're never afraid to showcase it. I mean, I think a lot of people, when they want to post something that they're passionate about, they're thinking they're afraid because a million others are doing it. You know what I mean? But with someone like you, for example, that's very unique in showcasing that, and not only that, but inspiring people to try it, to actually TaylorTries is actually helping Mike tries, or, you know, all these other people tries. So, you know, it's kind of unique how you put that into perspective for those who are not familiar with juggling, and they're like, oh, you know what, I'm going to try this one pattern, or, you know,
that's definitely my goal. I understand the feeling that people have of like this fear of posting or sharing themselves, because it opens you up to a lot of crap. And it also just opens you up to your own reflection, which is really hard for people, because you see all your flaws and your problems, and it's hard to see your own failures just as much as it's hard for you to see other people see your failures. But you have to get past it, because a lot of the time what that means is you just don't do it. And I'm so thankful that I have videos from when I was like 16 showing where I am at juggling, because now I can see the progress. It doesn't matter that and nobody watched it when I was 16, and it doesn't matter if people did watch it and hated it. Like, it's not for them, it's for you. And if it is for them, you know, you'll find your audience. And like you said, so what if other people are doing it? You can do it too. I mean, there are plenty of people. I get messages all the time, like, you're just copying, you know, the Try Guys or Mike Boyd or whatever. And I'm like, yeah.
Juggling Josh.
Yeah, I'm just like, sure. I mean, but we're different, you know, like every movie that's ever been made is a copy of some other movie, but they're all different too. There's from a different perspective. And if you refuse to try something because you think it's not original, then you're never going to make something original, because that's the only way that you can, is if you get better by initially starting, and everything has been done, probably. Right. So the things that haven't been done are going to be hybrids of things that have already been done. So you have to do something that's been done and then find your own voice within that thing. And that's hard for people.
Oh yeah. I think the best way to approach it is just to think, okay, I love this, and how could I put my own spin on it to, you know, create an audience? I mean, I think we live in a society that's more focused on how many likes, how many subscribers, how many, the numbers, the statistics.
Yeah.
And if you don't have this number of followers, if you don't have this number of subscribers, likes, comments, hopefully positive, that really impacts of what your material is, or what, if it makes you want to put out more content or not. And what I like about you is that, no matter how many bad comments you get, or no matter if you get a bad reception on a video, that you keep going, that even at the worst of days. I remember there was one video in particular, I want to say it was your juggling in the dark, or it was the one that you just didn't feel like juggling at all that day. And and it was just, no matter how bad I feel, that I'm still going to do what I love. And I still do it. That's a motivation, I think, not only just for me, but I think everybody that's watching can really take to. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I think it's important to still do things and find those things that will motivate you to do things. And it can be really, you have to be careful of having that thing that's your motivation be other people, because then when you don't get that feedback, or when you get negative feedback, you won't want to do it anymore. And I've been there where, I've had breakdowns about Instagram where I've seen other people grow and I haven't, especially before I did kind of start growing. And even though that wasn't my goal, it was there, and it felt like, but I am doing all the things and I'm putting the work in. Why am I not growing? Blah, blah, blah. And I think those are fine conversations to have with yourself if you are trying to grow, but also just know that that can't stop you from actually trying, because if you do, then you will definitely not grow. And just knowing that, if you put your motivation for learning anything on another person, like, oh, I want to do this to impress somebody, or I want to do this to make my parents happy, or I want to do this for the likes, then you can achieve that, and people have, but it's a lot harder.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot harder.
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned before, I mean, it's just best for you to do what you love more than necessarily what you're forced to do just to impress people, or to just check off another, task on the checkbox. But now,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, somebody asked me a really great question, and it was part of what encouraged me to pursue TaylorTries as like a business. They asked me, what do you love to do the most? And I said, try new things. And then they said, and how do you want to help people? Or what do you want to contribute to the world? And I said, I want to make people feel less lonely, is what I said. And he said, then take those two things and figure out how you can do that for your job. And I think that's really helpful, because yes, it's I think more importantly than anything, you should do something that you love. But for everyone, that's not necessarily their job. And I think they should still love their job. But even if juggling wasn't my job, I have other things I can love. But also take what you love and also find a way to combine that with something that you can do to help people or to contribute in some way. And for some people, that's, being a nurse. They may not love actively dealing with cranky people all the time or hurt people or whatever, but they love aspects of that job, and they also love helping people. And so, and some people just genuinely love being a nurse. That's not saying that you can't love that job, but I'm saying, if your job is serving at a restaurant, even if you love aspects of that, and you also love the idea of getting to interact with people and help them and contribute to them enjoying their meal, then that's great. It doesn't always have to be this is my passion in life and I want that to be the only thing I do. It should be that combined with what you can contribute, and that balance of me and you, and ways that I can, and I think most people, when they say follow what you love, that's what they mean. And for me, it's been an interesting, that was a part of my revelation as well, was oh yeah, I also have to have a goal to try to contribute.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, to follow up with that, actually, I've had the same passion ever since I was 11 years old. Ever since I saw, oh, and it's funny because when I tell people, they're like, "No, it wasn't. It must have been like," because okay, truth be told, I wanted to become a dentist when I was like 2 or 3, and that was because I thought it was cool. You get to play with teeth. I don't know, and
Yeah.
then I realized how much medical school it took, and I'm like, I think I think what I want to do when I was 11, that was great. But I always found that a passion for what you want is, of course, your main motivator, but don't let that separate you from other opportunities that will lead you up to there. So of course, juggling is not just what you do. You're also a professional editor as well. And so, can you talk about kind of the other passions that you've had, or not necessarily the other passions, but other things that you tried that you really loved? Because I know, for example, you did the bartending. If I want to make
Like flair. Yeah.
yeah, the
The type
flair
of
and everything.
bartending where you juggle, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was something I tried. I think for me, trying new things is my biggest passion. Like I love juggling, but if you told me to pick between juggling and being able to never try something new again, I would give up juggling in a heartbeat just because I love that feeling of learning new things like we talked about. And so, but there are certain things that have definitely stuck throughout the years that I love. And juggling is probably the biggest, definitely the biggest. I also really loved baseball for a lot of my life. It's a little harder to play as an adult woman, but I still love it, and I love watching it when I can and playing it when I can. And I also love ukulele. That's one of the things that I've tried that I've stuck with. I'm by no means a pro at it. I don't practice it enough, but I love it, and I love being able to pull it out and play it whenever I want. And then there's like a bunch of random skill things that I've learned, like there's like a spinning cloth that I've gotten into recently that I really dig. Flair bartending is one, but it doesn't have quite the same feeling for me. I'm doing it more that as a challenge, but I don't love it. It's hard. It's not my favorite. It hurts. Like there's a lot of pain involved in that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's so fun to be able to like try things and find the ones that I like more than others that stick. And I hope other people do that too.
That's awesome. As a fan, as someone that's been supporting for, I want to say about a year or two now.
Yeah.
It's weird. I really do have seen the progress. I really have seen the progress that you've made, making mainstream media and, really connecting a lot of different people together with trying new things. And it's so awesome that you were able to do that. So thank you for doing that.
Thanks. Yeah, like I said, it comes down to that. I think that's more what I was trying to say is that, like, do what you love, but also find a way to find a way to help people or encourage people with it. And then you'll be super strong. And I think that no matter what, you'll be able to make something work. And for me, I love trying new things, but I really also always remember, like when things get hard in this whole thing with my business or whatever, I'll always remember that at the end of the day, if I'm enjoying myself doing the thing I love, just trying new things, and also encouraging people to try new things themselves and not be afraid to fail and learn things, like those are my two goals, and one serves me and one serves them, and together hopefully they're strong. And I encourage anyone to find both sides of that coin for themselves. And I know you do with your commentating. It's like, and we've talked about it a bit. I love it. It isn't. I think a lot of people can look at so many professions or skills and think they're very like one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, talking about something. It's like, no, but there's so much more to that and to so many things than it appears. A lot of people just look at me and think, oh, she just makes videos on the internet. It's okay. It's like, no. I mean, I don't think that's it, and I hope other people see the value in it as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so I'm going to hit you with the fireball question, and I hope you're ready for this one. So your favorite animal, well, I hope it is, the otter. Can you talk about your love for the animal, the otter, and tell us the reasoning why it is your favorite?
It's funny. It's not my favorite animal. And I know that's very sacrilegious. A lot of people assume it is because I love otters. They're probably my second or third favorite animal. But but that's because I love lots of animals. But otters especially have a dear place in my heart because they're the only animal that we've ever seen that juggles, or at least close to juggles. And you can look it up on the internet, look up otters juggling, and they lay on their backs and they sit there and they throw little rocks up, like juggle them. It's the cutest thing. And it's amazing because like no other animals do this. And so naturally as a juggler, I love it. I also just love how most otters are really like playful. Like they tend to be a playful animal.
Oh yeah.
They're adorable how they hold hands in the water. Some of them are really violent and horrible, you know, just like every species. There's good and bad sides to them. But the ones that are good are so cute. And I love them. I'd say my favorite animal is probably a wolf though.
Oh.
But wolves can't juggle. So, you know, there's a line there. Otters. But I also have, I have otters.
Aww. And speaking about otters, you can support TaylorTries over on Patreon, and you can become an otter yourself for only the bare minimum of, I believe, $2, or is it $5? $2. You can be an otter pup. And if you want to go the extra mile, you could go all the way up from a juggling otter all the way up to a legendary otter. Make sure the link will be in the description below, and you get to support Taylor in everything. You get exclusive stuff, you know, depending on which rank you are. If you're a legendary otter, every single month you get to have a one-on-one juggling session via Skype, I believe, if it is still on
or Zoom, or you know, online juggling lesson helping you.
We'll find a way.
I love it. We have a few people doing that, and it's just great to be able to see them get better every month. And yeah, so anyone that wants juggling lessons, there's that. You can get juggling balls at a certain tier. My own signature juggling balls. You can get
just like this one.
Super good juggling balls. I tried to design them well, and you can also get like downloadable files of my tutorials and my videos. You get slow motion videos. You get bloopers, extended tutorials. There's a lot of great stuff. I worked really hard on it.
Yeah, and now talking about so the Patreon thing is absolutely great. Make sure you guys go support on that. But there's actually one thing that I wanted to point out, and that's your Glowforge, and that's the 3D printer that you put out there. There was one that you made for Mother's Day for your mom, which was the sign, which I thought was the coolest thing I think I've ever seen. So can you talk about what inspired you to get the 3D printer and how much fun you're having with it?
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's technically a laser cutter. So it's a little different than a 3D printer. We do, my roommate has a 3D printer, so I've played with that too. But I like the Glowforge more because it works with wood, and I love wood. It also cuts acrylic, but it's a laser, and it goes and you put in the file that you want it to cut, and it just cuts this amazing detailed image into wood or acrylic or whatever, even leather. And I've only made a few things with it. I've had it for a little over a month, and I actually have to make one today. Somebody bought something off my Etsy. I have like a juggling piece of art that you can buy, and so I gotta make one of those. But I love it because it's super fun. It combines my love of crafting with, you know, lasers.
Hey, but I find that awesome, especially the process that behind it, because like you get to see all the lasers and the bright lights, and man, I could so make this at home.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
I mean, you could if you had a Glowforge.
Yeah. So one of the things that I also wanted to mention, I believe it was the same trip in Chicago, was meeting your hero. And by that, I mean one of the Mythbusters. I keep forgetting his name.
Adam Savage.
Yeah, Adam Savage from the Mythbusters. So can you talk about that experience, and then we'll go on to why Mythbusters is your favorite?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'll start with that actually. I think myself and a lot of millennials grew up watching Mythbusters. Just it was like the first. I mean, maybe like Bill Nye was the first sciencey show, but Mythbusters was like, it was a different show, and it really encouraged a lot of scientific process. And I think that that's a big part in learning anything, whether it's scientific or not. Like a lot of the things that you learn from science, you can apply to things like juggling, and just how to adapt, how to improve, how to constantly keep trying. All that is stuff that you arguably can learn in science. And I think that watching Mythbusters a lot as a kid had to have contributed to that mindset for me of like like they show all the mess ups. They constantly show how they're messing up. That's part of the scientific process. And then they make it fun. And like that's the Mythbusters are great. And so yeah, I've loved them for a long time since they started. And so yeah, I went to an event, that same event where lots of, you know, different people from all over went, and Adam Savage was one of them. And I was juggling actually, and he also juggled, so we got to juggle a little bit. I got to pass clubs with him, and he really nerded out on one of my overhead juggling videos that I filmed from above. He was excited about that, and it was really fun. Yeah, he's a really good juggler. He can juggle clubs, so he's legit. And it was really fun to meet him. I mean, I've met a few of my like heroes, and sometimes it's disappointing and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's great. I think it's important to know that no matter who you're meeting that is your hero, they're people and they have good days and bad days, and you might meet them on a bad day. They might also just be not great people, but I try to enjoy their work no matter what. And luckily, he did not disappoint in any of those ways. He's an incredibly kind person, an incredibly nice person, very supportive, and he can juggle. So win on all. Hi. Lemon heard the mailman. She's upset.
Yeah, no worries. She could be in there. She could be in there. That's fine.
You okay? Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I always consider meeting your heroes, like you said, it's either one side of the coin or if it's not, you know. And I'm definitely meeting my hero with Lemon right there.
Yeah. Well, and I know people have met me, and it's a lot of pressure. Like at juggling conventions, nobody like I've met very few people on the street that are like, oh, TaylorTries. Like I'm not that famous, but at juggling conventions, I'm definitely like known, and it can be a lot of pressure sometimes, especially like towards the end of a festival or a convention where you're really tired, and maybe you just can't deal with meeting somebody or being kind of on. And a lot of people expect you to be
perfect.
Like the person that you are online, and I am for the most part. I definitely try to, like, the person that you see on my videos, I try to be very transparent about me. Oh, yeah. But even still, like, you usually see the positive side of me. I'm not going to show you the days where I'm grumpy or tired. And I do a little bit, but not most of the time. But yeah, it's like being a real person. There's going to be times where I just don't want to talk to anybody, and somebody might come up to me and I might be really rude to them, and I don't mean to. I don't think that's happened ever, if maybe like once, but I don't think I've disappointed any fans yet, but I'm sure it'll happen. And I just encourage anyone, if they meet somebody that's their hero, just to remember that it's, you know, they're people, mess up. Oh, Lemon, you mess up all the time. Your breath is bad.
I did have one final question for you, but now I'm going to add one more. I'm sorry. Because Lemon did show up on the scene. When are we going to get that buddy cop movie with Lemon and TaylorTries?
Lemon and TaylorTries. Buddy cops. I don't know. I think all the production in Hollywood has stopped right now. So after COVID, maybe we'll jump on the buddy cop movie, huh?
It will definitely be better than Chips. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then now finally, once again, before I get into the final question, thank you, Taylor, for being on for this interview. We've definitely had some great conversation going on right now. Hopefully we could do more in the future, but definitely make sure you guys follow her on Instagram at Taylor_tries. Same thing with Instagram, or why did I say Instagram twice? I don't know why. With YouTube, Taylor_tries. You could definitely catch her juggling tricks, and not only just juggling tricks, but just, you know, she does also BTS with juggling videos. She does post on Instagram, so make sure you guys check that out as well, which is awesome. Coming from a filmmaking perspective, that's actually pretty cool to see the BTS behind it. I definitely have to relate when it comes to the editing process. I absolutely hate Premiere Pro.
I like Premiere, but I hate editing, despite it being my job. I don't like it.
So make sure you guys follow her on those social medias. Again, link will be in the description, as I mentioned before. But finally, the final question for Taylor. She has to be ready for this question because it's probably the big one of this whole interview, which is already going to be 40 minutes. Which, again, for me, it's not about time limit. It's all about just having a great conversation. And I feel like that we've had a great conversation throughout this whole interview.
I'm nervous about this question. What is it?
So the final question. She's excited. The people are excited, hopefully. What advice would you have for people who want to try new things or who are afraid to take that step out of their comfort zone of trying something like juggling or trying just new things in general?
Great question. Not as scary as I thought it was going to be. Trying new things. I think the biggest thing is going into it knowing that you're going to mess up and just being okay with that. Like, you have to just from the get-go be like, I'm going to fail. Mm-hmm. And if you go into it knowing that, and not only knowing it, but accepting it and changing it into a positive, the word failure shouldn't be a negative thing. Like, it's only negative if you let it stop you. So knowing that, like, when you drop a ball or when you mess up the song or whatever skill you're trying to learn, that moment, it's going to be frustrating, and that's okay. But try to see those moments as a positive and remember that that means that you're getting better. Every step you take as a child, when you take a step and fall, it was one step closer to taking a step and not falling. And I think it's the same with learning any sort of skill. Juggling, every drop you make is one drop closer to not dropping that ball. And it's true for any skill. So whatever you're going into learning how to try, make sure that you just change your relationship with failing and be okay with it. And then also find good resources of teaching and lessons, which is really hard to do, but don't learn the wrong way to do something, because that's horrible. Then you have to go back. If you want to learn juggling, I don't say it just because it's my channel, but I really do think that my tutorials are the best, and it's because I put a lot more work into them to most people. That's so right. If you want to learn how to juggle, please go learn from my channel. I know. She's over this. She wants to go eat.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thank you so much, Taylor, for being on here. Make sure you guys go follow her. Why am I pointing this way? Pointing this way on all her social media platforms. And until we meet again, thank you so much. And I will see you guys again soon.
Aw, bye.
And broadcast.